Okay, you guys, I got a special guest in my YouTube video today, which is my husband, Ben. He's a little bit shy, but don't worry, he's gonna get used to the camera in a second. Yeah. So we thought we wanted to give you guys an insight into how we're essentially doing like our weekly money date and then also the overall kind of like monthly money date. Now we have to say full transparency, we're 80% maybe like consistent. We're not like doing it every single Sunday. Like sometimes there's stuff happening where we forget, or maybe like one of you is sick or whatever it is. But regardless, it's so important to kind of like just really do this. And so we actually wrote out our agenda of kind of like what we are doing. And I'm going to share it with you guys as we're walking kind of through it. And so it's not like so much to kind of like go into detail. So I'm not gonna like maybe share my screen with me or our screen with you guys, right? To kind of like show you guys the precise numbers. It's more to get you inspired to kind of do this as well, because like just taking care of your finances every month is going to take away so much stress for your future self. And it's just super important.
Yeah, I would say definitely makes you feel much more in control of your finances when you actually know where all the money is going.
Okay, this is right. So we're just gonna make this like kind of a little bit of a vlog style. And as a little side note, no, we're usually not dressing up with collared shirts on the Sunday to do our finances while our son is napping in the other room. No, but we thought since we're doing it and we wanted to film it and give you guys an insight, we're gonna dress up a little bit nicer. So enjoy it, yeah? The first thing that we usually do, and Ben is already opening up the windows, so we actually are doing this as I'm like filming and recording this. We're just gonna speed up the video because you guys otherwise probably would get bored, and I want to encourage you to go ahead and do it yourself actually. So the first thing you're doing is we're opening up all of our bank statements, and we want to make sure on each of our accounts to kind of go through and categorize the transaction for our private accounts. For our business accounts, we have a bookkeeper, so we're getting the P&L statement usually once a month, but we're kind of like for the money dates kind of specifications or reasons, we're breaking it down usually by week as well and making sure we track on it. In the past, like if we do end up doing it once a month, it takes us too much time and then you end up not doing it, right? Like if you're doing it once a week,
too overwhelming.
Exactly. And if you're doing it once a week, then it takes us like maybe 30 minutes to an hour. So our son usually naps for 2 hours. So on a Sunday, perfect time. Okay, so that's what we're doing right now. So we're pulling up our bank statements and organizing the data, so the transactions still, especially for our private accounts that we're having. Now, you guys, we categorize all of our private, like essentially transactions. There you go. And then now we're pulling up, essentially, we're getting an email, like I said, from our bookkeeper. So we're going to look at our P&L statements for the business account transactions right now and seeing if everything looks good there.
So the next step is we're going to make a separate sheet. It's actually our bookkeeper helps us with that as well, especially on the business side. So they'll send us a sheet of all the software expenses. Go through and see if there's any recurring expenses that are unnecessary or any softwares we can cut out. Basically anything like that, we'll just highlight in red if it needs to be canceled, or red if it needs to be refunded. We need to contact them if it was a mistake charge or something like that. Yellow is just yellow is like just needs to be canceled. But having that list of all the different things. So the separate sheet, it just helps you keep track. Or just having the list of all recurring expenses and then just highlighting the ones in yellow that need to be canceled, the ones in red that need to be refunded, right?
Yeah, usually you like the highlighting thing, right? If you're going through it, and I like keep track, like I have a separate Excel spreadsheet in a Google Drive, in our Google Drive folder with the finances. That's how I remember to kind of like call or cancel my subscriptions or whatever it's, whatever I have to do. Then usually, of course, on Monday, because on Sunday, it depends, right? Not many businesses are operating. So yeah, but it just helps it because like in the past, sometimes I think a few years ago, we were just like blurting out stuff, whoever did the finances. And then of course the other person forgot. And then the next month you see the charge again and you're like, oh no. Just doing that right away like really helps it. And it also helps to control your budget.
So the next step is we go through something called YNAB and we look at our budget. And we see how we are doing based on what we thought our budget was going to be. And we see if we need to make adjustments.
And then one thing is, because you guys remember, I probably did a video like just a couple of months ago, and Ben knows it too, because that was our past system, is we used Excel spreadsheets, right? Formulations and how we're doing our budget and this kind of stuff, and like the profit and loss, like privately. It was more looking at the thing when it already happened, like the transactions, like when it already happened. So we started then using a budgeting software. It's called YNAB, and I'm going to link it down below so you guys can check it out as well. It's been been really game changer. It's like an envelope system in the form of a software. So instead of having the physical envelopes, like I think your grandparents did this as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain it to some of you guys like that don't know what that is.
Like in the 50s and 60s, back when we were more of a cash-based society, I think when everyone used cash, you get your paycheck. Let's say you got $2,000-$3,000, then you would divide up all the cash into different envelopes so you know how much cash you have for each particular part of your budget, right? But obviously now that we're more of a cashless society, it gets difficult to do that. So this software was created to basically recreate that envelope type through a software.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that we noticed if you're using it, so that's why we're doing it too, is like we're looking at what we're going to spend in the future, right? So you kind of like already have almost like a future-based view on your finances for the next week and even month and so on ahead. And when you do that, then you don't always feel like, oh, where did all the money go, right? Because you kind of already, it hasn't happened yet. So you can actually like go through it and like check, okay, do I need to adjust something? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff for next month, right? If we're noticing, if we're putting the average of the last 3 months from our grocery bill and all of a sudden it's gone up or something like that, because I'm eating a lot more since I'm pregnant now, then we want to adjust it we want to adjust it for the next 2 months, right? That kind of stuff.
You
So
also don't feel like you have more than you actually have.
That's
so like
a good
when
one.
you get your paycheck, right? Let's say you got 3,000 back in the 50s, and you divide up the cash, then you don't have that 3,000 sitting there, so you don't, because otherwise you'd feel like you have extra money. Where
Always
when you
do.
have it already designated towards certain things, then you don't feel like you have the extra money, so you won't be as like spending on extra stuff. Like the random restaurants and coffee shops, you won't be as, I don't know what you call it. You won't be as easygoing with the money when you know it's not just an extra 10, 15,000 sitting there. Right?
The money has more designated purposes instead of being kind of more emotionally spent, that kind of stuff. And even if you end up doing that, I'm kind of like sometimes an emotional spender. And I notice based on just observing my behavior, and then I just have a bucket for that. So we have like a little extra budget planned in for when I go emotionally spending, that kind of stuff, or whatever it is. So it's really helpful. And then the next thing we're actually doing is we're setting money and sales and revenue goals and all this kind of stuff, which is important too. Because if you don't have a goal, yeah, exactly. Look at that. I'm just looking if he's in this video paying attention. I'm kidding.
For that, obviously, it's important, because when we're talking the business side, you're just looking at your P&Ls and looking at what we have actually done year to date, being realistic about it, but also setting your good, better, best goals, right? That kind of stuff.
But I think it's also, especially if you have kids, right? You more like if maybe your son's birthday is coming up in a few months, right? And you want to throw a birthday party or whatever it is, so you want to get him a special present, I don't know, then you can already start planning in for that, right? And putting money aside. Like that's the point as well, right? Not that like a week before you're like, oh no, I'm struggling to kind of like make space, for that expense, or if you want to go on vacation or anything like that. So money goals, I think it's also just like almost like desire goals or something like that, just something that you want to be doing. So, you should like be able to make space for that and plan ahead.
It's very easy to get sometimes stressed out and negative sometimes because you almost always want there to be more. So it's super important to end it on a high note, always, with the positive affirmations, and just try and not be emotional about it, it's just numbers.
That's true. I love it. And so our question for you guys, we're going to drop our favorite money quote or affirmation, I should say, down below in the description section. And we want to hear from you guys. What is your favorite money affirmation? So what do you love to tell yourself that's positive? And when it comes to money and wealth creation, management, in the comments down below. So leave a comment down below. And then I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, that's what we're usually doing. So we thought we would record ourselves the entire time while we do it, but we wanted to kind of share more the information to you guys. So we're gonna like finish up based on exactly what we were saying. So we should be done in like I said, about 20 minutes. We got like 20 minutes left before the little guy wakes up from the nap. So thanks so much for tuning in. Let us know if this video was helpful, and I hope you guys are doing this money daily with us. Bye.